Hello everyone. In the previous sessions, we have discussed about strategic factors, technological factors, macroeconomic factors, political factors which influences the network design decisions. In this session, let us discuss about other factors. Infrastructure factor. The availability of good infrastructure is an important prerequisite to locating a facility in a given area. Poor infrastructure adds to the cost of doing business from a given location. Global companies have located their factories in China near Shanghai uh, and Guangzhou, even though these locations do not have the lowest labor or land costs because there is a good infrastructure at these locations. Key infrastructure elements to be considered during network design including availability of sites, labor availability, proximity to transportation terminals, rail service, proximity to airports and even seaports, highway access, congestion and even local utilities. So when it comes to competitive factors, companies must consider the size and location when designing their supply chain network. A fundamental decision that company make is whether to locate their facility close to competitors or far from them. The form of competition and factors such as raw material or labor availability influence this decision. So when it comes to competitive factors, we must discuss about positive externalities between firms. What is this positive externalities? These positive externalities are instances where the collection of multiple organizations benefits all of them. Positive externalities lead to competitors locating close to each other. For example, gas stations and retail stores tend to locate close to each other because doing so increases overall demand, thus benefiting all partners. By locating together in a mall, competing retail stores make it more convenient for customers who need only drive to one location to find everything they are looking for. This increases the total number of customers who visit the mall, increases demand for all stores located there. So if you take another example of positive externality is when the presence of a competitor leads to the development of appropriate infrastructure in a developing area. In India, for example, Suzuki was the first foreign auto manufacturer to set up a manufacturing facility. The company went to considerable effort and built a local supplier network. Given the well-established supplier base in India, Suzuki competitors have also built assembly plants here because they now find it more effective to build cars in India rather than importing them from other countries. Locating to split market. This is also one of the important factor under competitive factors. When there are no positive externalities, then organization locate to be able to capture the largest possible share of the market. A simple model which is first proposed by Hoteling explains the issue behind this decision. When organizations do not control price but compete on distance from customer, they can maximize market share by locating close to each other and splitting the market. Consider a situation in which customers are uniformly located along the line segment between, say, 0 to 1. 0 to 1. So if I take this as and 0 and two firms or two organizations compete based on their distance from the customer. A customer goes to the closest company or organization, and customers that are equidistant from the two companies or two organizations are evenly split between them. If if the total demand is say 1, then organization 1 or company 1 locates at point, say, here somewhere, let us say A, and say organization 2 locates at a point, say somewhere here, it is say 1 minus B. So if you take this as A and if you take this as B, then it becomes from this point. So this is A, which is located A distance away, whereas from this point, which is 1 minus B away from this point. The demand at the two organizations be, say, D1 and D2. Let be D1 and D2. Then we can get the equations for D1 and D2 as D1 will be, that is the demand at first organization, will be A plus 1 minus B minus A by 2. So this is the demand for the first organization, which is located at A. Similarly, for the second organization, demand will be equal to 1 plus B minus A divided by 2. Now both the firms maximize their market share if they move close to each other and locate at A is equal to B. If A is equal to B and is equal to, say, 1 by 2, that means both these organizations move very close to each other. Then they can make their market share more or maximum. So it is also observed that when both these organizations locate in the middle of the line segment, the average distance that customers have to travel will become 1 by 4, that is quarter the distance. If one of the organization locates at 1/4 and other at 3/4, the average distance customer have to travel drops to 1 by 8. This sets of locations. However, it is not an equilibrium because it gives both firms an incentive to try and increase market share by moving to the middle. The result of competition is for both organizations to locate close together, even though doing so increases the average distance to the customer. If the organizations compete on price and incur the transportation cost to the customer, it may be optimal for the two organizations to locate as far apart as possible, with firm 1 locating at 0 and firm 2 locating at 1. So locating far from each other minimizes the price competition and helps the organization split the market and maximize the profit. Coming to socio-economic factors, I must say the government of India has, as a matter of state policy, promoted industrial development of industrially backward areas in the country, concentrating in particular on the northeastern region, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttaranchal. Balanced regional development through locational dispersal of industries has been one of the principal objectives of the successive 5 years plans and government's industrial policy. The industrial policy aims to spread industrialization to backward areas of the country through institutions, appropriate initiatives, and infrastructure investment that would facilitate private investment. Towards this end, various schemes and incentives are regularly launched for upgradation of industrial cluster through technology modernization schemes as a part of planned development. Customer response time and local presence. Organizations that target customers who value a short response time must locate close to the company. For example, customers are unlikely to come to a convenience store if they have to travel a long distance to get there. It is therefore best for a convenience store chain to have many stores distributed in an area so that most people have a convenience store close to them. In contrast, customers shop for large amount of goods at supermarkets and are willing to travel longer distances to get to one. Thus, supermarket chains tend to have stores that are larger than the convenience stores and not as densely distributed. Most towns have fewer supermarkets than convenience stores. Discounters such as Sam's Club targets the customer who are even less time sensitive. These stores are even larger than supermarkets and there are fewer of them in that area. W. Granger uses about 350 facilities all over the United States to provide same-day delivery of maintenance and repair supplies to many of its customers. Mac a competitor, targets customers who are willing to wait for next day delivery. Mac has only 6 facilities throughout the United States and is able to provide next day delivery to a large number of customers. If a firm or organization is delivering its product to customers, use of a rapid means of transportation allows it to build fewer facilities and still provide a short response time. This option, however, increases transportation cost. Moreover, there are many situations in which the presence of a facility close to a customer is very, very important. For example, a coffee shop is likely to attract customers who live or work nearby. No faster mode of transport can serve as a substitute and be used to attract customers that are far away from the coffee shop. Coming to the logistics and facility costs. These costs incurred when within a supply chain, as a number of facilities, their location, and capacity allocation is changed. Companies must consider inventory, transportation, and facility costs when designing their supply chain networks. Inventory and facility costs increase as the number of facilities in the supply chain increase. Transportation costs decrease as the number of facilities is increased. If the number of facilities increased to a point where inbound economies of scale are lost, then transportation cost increases. For example, with few facilities, Amazon.com has lower inventory and facility cost than Borders, which has about 450 stores. Borders, however, has a lower transportation cost. The supply chain network design is also influenced by the transportation occurring at least in each facility. When there is a significant reduction in material weight or volume as a result of processing, it may be better to locate facilities close to supply source rather than the customer. For example, when iron ore is processed to make steel, the amount of output is a small fraction of amount of ore. Locating the steel factory close to the supply source is preferred because it reduces the distance that the large quantity of ore has to travel. The total logistics costs are the sum of inventory, transportation, and facility costs. The facilities in the supply chain network should at least equal the number that minimize the total logistics cost. Therefore, an organization may increase the number of facilities beyond this point to improve the response time to its customer. These decisions can be justified if the revenue increases from improved response outweighs the increased cost from additional facilities. So these are the few factors which definitely influences the decision making process when it comes to designing of distribution networks. Thank you.